everyone. Can everyone hear me back there? Am I loud enough? All right, I get told that a lot. My name is Andrew. I'm a very low-profile Swede speaker from the US, but and they didn't fly me here. And I'm going to tell you guys today some tools you can use to validate your business ideas quickly, probably even in the same day without spending any money. And then how you can go deeper and just ask more questions after that. So hopefully you probably already have the best idea ever. But sometimes you need to kill darling. And the sooner you know that, the less time you're going to waste. So it could be that it's already been done. Or it's not really an innovation that people want. And so how do you know if it's a good idea or it's a bad idea? So basically, you should be following these steps. First thing you can do is run and check online. Then you can do in-person interviews. You can do, after that, a minimal viable product and show it to people. Then pre-sell it. And don't ask your mother, because she was, she birthed you with a contract that she must say that everything you do is good. I mean, she even thinks I'm cute. Proof. So you've got this great idea, right? And you're thinking, well then, if it's so great, why hasn't someone done it? Could it be a problem with the marketing? Is it something with the design? Are there missing features? Is it not working very well? Or is there something else? So in my example, I was on this beach in Mexico, and I wanted to go for this swim. And when I was in the water, my stuff was on the beach, and I couldn't stop worrying about it. Every few minutes, I would panic, and I would look desperately for my bag, and I would finally find it, and then go back to relaxing. And my question at the end of the day was, why do we have to worry about our stuff? Shouldn't it just not get stolen? And so that came up with Serenity. And in the beginning, the first thing to do, I told you, was to do an online check, right? So on anti-theft bag alarm. And someone wanted this bad enough that they were going to build one of their own on an Instructable. So that's a good sign. And there are some products on the market. But have you ever heard of them? I hadn't. So it seems like, it seems like they don't like what's out there very much. I wouldn't consider absolute utter crap exactly a stellar review. And part of the problem is that they go off all the time, or they never go off at all. And this is a really quick Amazon check. I didn't have to do anything yet. And the customers are still saying things like, I wish I could find this, but I can't. So that's a green light. People are saying they want a better alarm. No, they want a solution. So don't get too caught up on the fact that you thought of an alarm right away. You want to figure out what the solution is, and that's our goal here. So in order to do that, we need to figure out what is the real pain. And in Serenity's case, the pain with the current solutions was that there was a hassle. They didn't work. They were ugly. And at least the competitors were using fear. And actually substitutions have a lot of fear problems as well. So in your case, when you have an idea, what I want to help you learn how to do here today is to ask people. It's scary, I know, but before developing for years and years and years, go out and ask. So we went out and asked 50 people, trying to figure out who has this problem, right? And you should really pay attention to, who really has your problem, because, cats, they don't eat a lot of cheese, but they eat a lot of mice. So if you're asking the cat about cheese, maybe that's not the best thing. But on the other hand, you can find out some interesting things, because maybe the cat will tell you that, oh, well, I don't like it when mice eat blue cheese because they don't taste very good. So suddenly you have a whole new product you can sell to mice. Eat blue cheese. It's good for your longevity. So there is an amazing video, which I'm going to play for you, that illustrates how to do this perfectly. So here we are.
Welcome to the Lift Series on Customer Development. Today we're going to be talking about customer interviews, or specifically how to do a good customer interview and the rules around that. So customer development is all about validating your assumptions around your business. And the way you do that is by talking to your customers. There's a couple simple rules that we have that will help you make sure that you're getting good information from them. The first one, and the most important, is no pitching. The difference between sales and customer development is subtle, but basically at the end, you're not asking them for money. And so if they think that you're going to be asking them for money, they're not going to be giving you the information that you want. They're not going to open up to you. So if I say, hey, I'm building this dog shampoo that makes dogs not smell bad, would you want that? That sounds like you're selling to them. So they might say no, or they might say yes, but either way, like, they're probably just saying yes because they want to be nice to you. They may not actually need it. You haven't demonstrated anything. You haven't validated any of your assumptions. So no pitching while you're doing customer development during your customer interviews. The next rule is no ice cream questions. A great example of an ice cream question is, do you want ice cream? No rational human being would ever say no to that question. Everyone wants ice cream, all of the time. So by asking, do you want ice cream, you're not getting anything useful out of them. So back to the dog example, does your dog smell bad sometimes? Yeah, it does. Wouldn't it be great if your dog didn't smell bad sometimes? Yes. What rational person would want their dog to smell bad? So you're not learning anything from that. So why bother asking? Because it ends up making you feel like you validated one of your assumptions when you really haven't. The next one is pull, don't push. So you want to pull information out of them. You don't want to push things onto them. So I might ask someone, do you have a dog? Yes. Cool. What do you dislike about having a dog? And they're like, oh, well, I mean, my dog isn't particularly well trained, so it misbehaves a lot. You're like, oh, interesting. And you dive into that a little bit. But you're like, you really want to see if they want this shampoo because the dog smells bad. So you're like, well, what else don't you like about having a dog? And they're like, oh, I mean, it really messes with my social life. Like, I have to come back every day after work and walk it and take it to the bathroom and clean up after it. And like, it's really obnoxious because I can't go out to the bar with my friends after work. And you're like, oh, interesting. Tell me more about that, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, well, what else don't you like about having a dog? Well, I mean, it sheds all the time, and I just have dog fur all over my house. And you're like, oh, interesting. They've gone through 3 questions. You've pulled 3 problems out of them, and none of them have been, my dog smells bad sometimes. So maybe that's important, right? Maybe that means that their dog smelling bad isn't one of their top 3 problems. So in that case, you learned that their dog sheds all over the place. So maybe you should think about pivoting your dog shampoo to something that makes dogs not shed anymore. Next one, N of 1 is not proof. So that means one person saying something shouldn't make you validate or invalidate anything. It shouldn't make you make any big decisions. If someone says something interesting and unexpected, you should go validate that and try to get 10 more people to come to the same conclusion independently. If you can't, that person was just crazy. If you can, then you've learned something really interesting. Past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Basically, if I say, I want to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym this year. It's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to go 3 times every week for the whole year. If you look back at the last 3 years, I've been to the gym once. Now, there's a chance that they'll change. There's a chance they'll go to the gym all the time. But what's much more likely is that they'll go to the gym once or twice that year, and then they'll just kind of stop going. So if you look back at what they have done, it's a great indication of what they will do. So another great example of this is asking someone about their diet. So let me bring my assistant up and let's see what this looks like. This is Cav. Cav, why don't you tell me about your diet?
I eat pretty healthy all the time.
Yeah?
Any rules that you live by?
Yeah, I do kind of the paleo thing, mostly various kinds of low carb, honestly. I sort of play by whatever rules I feel like at the time, but I try to stay away from the bread and the pasta and stuff like that.
Great, great. So what we've learned is Cav eats really healthy, and he stays away from breads and pastas and a lot of big meats and vegetables, right, Cav?
I eat a lot of meats and vegetables, yeah.
Great. So we've asked Cav about essentially his ideal self, about how he sees himself and his kind of future behavior, how he plans to eat. So let's try a different question. Cav, tell me about the last meal you had.
I had a sandwich a couple minutes ago. It was a meatball sandwich. It was pretty good. There was a lot of bread there, though, definitely.
Yeah. And what was the meal before that?
I was running kind of late to a meeting, so I had a Starbucks breakfast sandwich.
And what was in the breakfast sandwich?
Some egg. There was a muffin, definitely. They had salads there, but I didn't really feel like having a salad for breakfast. I felt like that was a little weird.
Gotcha. Thanks, Cav. So what we discovered is, you can go now.
I'm like, wait, do you want to?
What we discovered is if you ask Cav what his diet is, he'll talk about his ideal self, how he sees himself. It also is kind of like how he sees that he'll eat in the future. But instead, if you ask about his past self, you end up finding out what he actually did. You find out his actual self. And it turns out Cav doesn't actually eat particularly healthy. He has a lot of breads. I bet he had pasta last night, or Mexican food, or like all sorts of other stuff, right? So asking about their past self is asking about their actual self. And that's a great predictor of what they will do in the future. And so the last one is, and you just noticed this with the previous question, stories are better than statements. So, Cav, how do you eat? It's like, I eat healthy. I don't eat bread. Great, those are statements. Tell me about the last time you did this. That encourages them to tell a story. And from that story, not only do you learn a lot more, but it gives you a lot more jumping off questions. Like, how am I gonna follow up, I eat healthy? What does that mean? I'm like, cool, I eat X, Y, and Z. That's not very interesting. That's pretty boring. So instead, you can tell a story. And then you can riff off that story, you can ask much more deeper questions, and then just talk a lot more. So that is the Lift video series on the rules of customer interviews.
Perfect. All right, so hopefully they give you some idea of like how you can kind of go about this process. So I mean, the most important question there is really like, when was the last time you did And then why, and why. And you should really keep doing this until you stop hearing new things. So if everyone in the world starts telling you the same stories over and over, well, then you probably understand their problem. But if you keep hearing new information, then you should keep going. So, in my case, it was, kind of like, what do you do with your stuff here on vacation? Where do you put it? Where? Do you worry about it? How do you manage it today? And do you really care? And it turns out that some people don't care, which is really interesting. So what I'd like you guys to do is, you guys are kind of all entrepreneurial here, right? I'd like you to try this out and use your question that you want to answer with your business, your problem you want to solve, and ask someone, when was the last time you were, and tell me more, and did you, and why. So you have 3 minutes. Talk to your neighbor. Ask them. And if you can't think of anything, you don't have an idea, you can ask them about the last time they went on a blind date. Did anyone learn anything interesting? Anyone?
It was a good experiment.
Yeah? Did you learn anything about your neighbor there?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
He does like to meet people in person instead to meet people that are not geographically related to him.
Uh-huh.
So he's looking for a blind date.
Uh-huh, that's interesting. And why was that? Did you find out why?
No.
Okay, I hadn't got
Let's
there.
go for 5 minutes more.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you back to it in a second. And anyone else? Did you find anything good out? Okay, well, that's good because you have another 30 seconds for one more thing, which is, what else should I have asked you? So 30 seconds, go, ask that question, please. So I don't think I made that super clear, but you should actually, as the interviewer, your final question should always be to the person you're asking, what should I have asked you? I saw some people do that, some people didn't quite do it that well. So that's great. You go out and you do 50, 100 of these. They're actually quite fun. It's really good if you can bring someone with you because it's hard to take notes while you're doing these at the same time. And after you get there, you should maybe go into the lean startup things and start pre-selling your ideas. So, and you can also do this at the end of your interview, at the absolute end. You can say, well, I have this super widget wheel 3010, and it solves all your problems. Do you want to buy it? And if you get a no, that's fantastic, because that means you've missed something. Because if you got everything, they would have said yes. So you can say something like, I understand. So just so I can make it better in the future, can you tell me why you don't want to buy it? And they say, well, it doesn't have X. You say, well, if it has X, would you buy it? No. And it's like, well, what else does it need? And okay, well, if it has that, would you buy it? No. And keep asking until you either get a yes or they just get sick of you. You know? But you'll probably eventually get a yes. And that'll start giving you an idea of what the real thing that you have to build to get sales is. And you can even collect their email address at that point and say, hey, I'm going to build that. And there you have your first pre-sales already for your Kickstarter campaign or your first email letter, everything. So that is one way to find a, yeah?
I'd add in there also ask how much they're willing to pay for it. Because a lot of people would want it, but do they want it at your price point?
Yeah, that's a very tricky thing, and that would be a whole nother, but that's a great thing. You can ask them, like, how much is that worth to you? Yeah, I think that's a good question to ask, especially when they say yes. Thank you. So, as I said, you can go in person and find your customers, which is good in the beginning. With business and business, you can do LinkedIn and conferences and conventions, and in my case, I mean, it's a little bit easy. Like, I know I need to get in touch with bag manufacturers. Be more obvious in a second. I really recommend that there's a really good post, maybe Yul can send it, like, do things that don't scale. Talk to people in person first before you try online. But one really nice thing about online is you can find forums and Facebook groups and meetups, and it's really easy to find people that have your problem. It's like never been easier, and you can just private message people and say, hey, I've got, I'm trying to solve this problem, and I would like to hear your thoughts on it, and can you tell me about your problem? And you can still be in the interview stage here and just message people. If you can't find them in person, you know, maybe they're managers, maybe it's entry-level enterprise software. People love to tell you about their problems, so don't be shy. They'll probably like send you money or something from Nigeria if you do it. So yeah, minimal product. Try to sell it to the first customer if you can before you buy it or even build it. Get no's, ask why, try again. And I just want to share a little bit what I found out about the problem of why do we have to worry about our stuff. I found out that people in different places had different worries and different strategies. These probably seem obvious, and that's a good thing once things seem obvious. Found out that people are asking friends. They would try to keep the things next to them, or they would try to lock them up. They would ask strangers to keep an eye on it for them. Very, very few people were actually using any kind of insurance. And a lot of them were trying to judge the environment to find out it was safe. But then they would go to something like Hilton, and everyone's bags would be stolen out of the lobby, and they would be shocked, as you should be. It's the same with conferences. So Basically, what was wrong with the solution is that humans need potty breaks, and we're very distractible. We're basically really terrible watchdogs, and we have poor judgment. So, in the very end of the day, like it's either people forget their stuff behind them, or they'll get tricked. I think the worst story I ever heard from a customer doing interviews on this was they were walking in Spain, a whole group of people, and all of a sudden they start getting bombarded with shit, literally poop, was being thrown at them from the ceiling, from the rooftops. And they all go like this, as you can imagine. And then another group ran by, grabbed their stuff, and kept running.
Oh.
And at the end of the day, there was nothing that these poor people could do, no matter what they did. The other fun one was actually a lot of people told me they got caught with their pants down. So they would be at a store or at an airport, and people would pull the bag from underneath the thing and run. So they'd be trying to go to the bathroom, and yeah. So what we ended up with to fix these problems is Serenity. And we needed something that was holistic for these people. So it was stopping the problem of both people getting stuff pickpocketed and from the whole bag being stolen. It was automatic. The customer, the things I showed you before, they were triggering alarms a lot because people had to remember to turn them on and off. So this thing needs to know the person before you touch it and before you move it. It needed to be stylish. Not too many women I met were very interested in putting those ugly plastic things on their Gucci bags and everything else. And it needed to be positive for two reasons. One, people didn't want to convey the message that they didn't trust other people. So no one wanted to go into the board meeting looking like a nutcase and that they didn't trust any of their colleagues there when their alarm goes off and it's this pit bull danger alert 747. And this funny thing was that every product on the market preaches a message of fear. So we decided to go really, really positive and preach a message of serenity, or sinizuro, if you're not familiar with the word. So that's pretty much it. I'll put this up. If there's a couple more customer interview videos, I really recommend. And I guess I'll open up for questions, if there are any. Yeah?
How does it work, your solution? Is it cheap?
Cheap?
Yeah, I like find your iPad?
Yeah. So it works in two basic ways. We attach a small magnet inside here, and this device has what's called a Hall effect sensor, so it can read the change in magnetic fields. So it knows when it's closed. So as you start to open it, it starts to vibrate in your hand to remind you, again, automatic, so you don't trigger the alarm yourself. And once you put in the code, you can open the bag. But as you open it, oops, I forgot. And then you put in your code and you can open it. So
Where do you
that's
put the code?
here. So that only handles the pickpocketing. What we did to make it automatic is we used Bluetooth to identify people. So if you have a smartphone or a wearable or anything, you can save that device to our device through the app. You just can put in Andrew's Fitbit. And anytime that it sees that Andrew's Fitbit is around, the bag can be moved. But if it doesn't see that my Fitbit is around and the bag is moving, then someone's stealing it. And the siren will start to go off. And there you go.
That's nice, because I was pickpocketed. Like, the moment I landed in Spain, I was really tired, and this guy came up to me right up in my face and said, like, excuse me, and was just talking to me, and he was like sliding his hand into my bag, which was really stealing. Like, it was meant for a thief, actually. It's like really easy. So that's, yeah, it seems like a good product. seems like many steps though. It's like one connecting thing. Is it a lock or?
Well, we built it into the zipper handle, so that way we can tell when it's being opened, and we can also tell when the bag is being moved using an accelerometer.
Right. So if you open and you don't put the code, it's kind of the alarm goes off.
Step 1, it vibrates in your hand,
Yes.
and then step 2, if you don't close it again,
Yeah.
it'll trigger the alarm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can like open it quickly or.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Because the biggest thing that I maybe didn't mention clearly is I found out that people, even more than wanting to be safe, didn't want a product that gave false alarms. So it's really important that everything that we do with this prevents false alarms first, and then thieves second.
Do you have you tested it already, or are you going to?
I've got a working prototype over here. If you want to
Alright.
play with it later.
Yeah, cool.
It's not fully developed yet, but we'll be doing a Kickstarter in 2 months, and it'll be working by then.
Cool. It seems really cool. So it's this. You attached it. Can I attach it to any bag?
Right now we do the zipper handle because that's the way to know if the bag is being opened.
Right.
You wouldn't actually believe how much time it took to arrive to that conclusion.
But what if
But now it seems obvious.
I guess you should also be able to put it on a like I don't know what you call this in English when you flap it like this.
Yeah.
When you open, like you can also have this detecting if it's closed or not. So you can also use it on like a flap, or is it?
In the future, maybe we'll build that, but you know, you can only build one product in the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah, yeah.
So we found out that almost all bags have zippers,
Yeah.
and there we go.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a nice
So,
thing.
can you just, like, what if they take the whole bag? Nothing will, no alarm will go off.
If they take the whole bag, these zippers I found out are basically unbreakable. I've tried really hard to break my zipper and I can't do it.
If something goes off, if they unzip it.
No, because it's attached right here. If you have a bag with you, you can look and you can see there's these metal clips on the actual zipper, and we attach right in there. And so the entire time that they have the bag in their hands, it's going to be screaming.
So when they pick it up, it starts to go.
That's right. Yeah.
Or you touch it and it goes off.
So we use a really complicated FFT algorithm to determine whether it's a theft motion or if it's just being bumped. And there's some cool things that we can do in the future with that, for example, on the train, it can ignore the train, but it can know when the train stopped. So if you start walking away from the bag and your device accelerometer is reading motion, but your bag isn't, it immediately alerts you on your device, like on your phone or your smartwatch, hey, you're forgetting your bag.
That's
Before
amazing.
you step
That's
off.
really good. I would need that.
So
How long the battery lasts?
okay, if it doesn't scream, it'll last about 6 months to a year. Yeah, it doesn't take any power until it screams, and after it screams, it's done its job, and you just recharge it.
Then it's good to recharge.
Yeah. So maybe in Barcelona you'll have to charge it a couple times a week, but you'll be happy you did.
All these links and the videos and the stuff, can we find that somewhere?
Yeah, I can post in the collaborate thing. I'll just post this whole thing.
Yeah.
You can look at it. And if you want one, please sign up here on our website. And we'll let you know when you can have one.
How much will they be?
$80.
Okay.
Thank you.